Right, Ledgers, can everybody hear me? Good evening, everybody. I hope you've survived this week. We will be having on the legendary Chimp as guest. So, can I get a quick audio visual check? Share the video if you can. Get the likes up, get the YouTube algo going. I'm going to get the disclaimer out the way with. So, welcome once again for Bitcoin for Ledgers live stream. Okay, normally on Mondays, but I had a few things going on, and yes, I had some personal things to sort out. Before we start, I just want to say thanks to our partners and sponsor Prime XBT for making this happen. To show some appreciation, use the link in the description, and once you've signed up, then before you deposit, go inside, use the promo code TraderSZ, and you'll get up to 7k USD on your deposit bonus. And as always, nothing in this video constitutes financial advice. Is volume low? Can you hear me? I don't know. Do you know what? I'm on a different computer, and sorry, I don't know what to do. Can everybody hear me? Okay. I don't know what to do with the sound. Shit. How do I do it? Oh no, is it better now? Is the sound better? Oh fuck, I don't know what to do to fix it. Any of you know? Okay, I'm gonna put this on stream. Any of you know where I'm going to go to fix the sound? Oh fuck. What do I do? Okay, audio. I'm actually shit at this stuff. Oh, stop. All good. Yeah, as long as you can make me out, okay, just bear with it, okay? Okay. I don't know. Put mic in your mouth. No problem. Come here. Okay, so I'll get started. So okay, that's that done. So nothing in this video constitutes financial advice. You should seek professional advice or whatever to if you want financial advice. This is just entertainment and education purposes. Okay, let's get stuck in. No fucking about. Okay, so let's start. I mean, I gave a call. And if you follow my Telegram, I put it in there. It's free Telegram. It's in my Twitter handle. Don't fall for these stupid scammers that what they do is they block me and somehow they reply under my tweet. So they probably reply or block me, whatever, or get links to it, however they do it, and they put fake ones on. Don't fall for it. It's too loud now. Listen, I don't know. Just deal with it, okay? As long as it can make me out, everybody else is okay. So yeah, don't fall for those guys. And we did short Bitcoin, okay? 36.6k if you remember. If you follow my Telegram, free one. Where's it gone? Hang on. Here we go. Clean chart, because we're gonna do a clean chart today. Well, we all need it. So this is where we shorted it right there to the tick, and I got out right there. And then afterwards, I had a separate play from there, and I got out there. Yeah, the lows. I know it looks hindsight, but actually it in real time. But yeah. So now what happens? Okay, is the question. Do I believe? Let's start with the macro picture. Do I believe it's gonna go lower, or do I believe it's bottomed out? I think it's lower till proven otherwise. I'll keep shorting till I'm wrong. Till I'm invalidated. I have no reason to believe we have a bottom in. Yes, no Luna, no Luna's. I think Luna's dead, so I'm not gonna look at Luna. It's over. Nothing to look at it for. For Luna, that's up to you. I'm done. Audio is bad. I don't know what to do. Listen, some say perfect, some say it's bad. I can't do nothing about it, okay? I'm at a different computer, and yeah. So anyways, let's keep the chat to this, okay? Get the likes up, let's get to at least 300. It's 850, 860 plus. Anyway, Chimp will come in after I'm done. So, bigger picture, okay? What have you really done with that range low? So yes, I can see the argument for a possible run up. So we got range high. It doesn't matter even if you do that as range high. And then our range low, I mean, I can zone it out or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Our range low, whether it's this low or whether it's this low, who cares? Okay, it's our range lows. Now, for a long opportunity, I'm not gonna guess a bottom. Yes, I can see that. I can see the argument for it. For me personally, that would be more short term until proven otherwise. Okay. So, yes, if I'm low, just increase your thing. So yeah. I can see the argument for it, but I don't think it's going to be that easy. I think a proper capitulation hasn't been done yet. I mean, if I look at the sell-off, it's not been the way I normally... I mean, this is fuck. This is a pussy sell-off. I mean, a proper man sell-off is like something like this. I say man, all the feminists getting triggered. Shut the fuck up. Not my problem. Something like this. Then I'll say, okay, let's go for a bottom. Okay? What do you want me to say about leverage? Leverage is just shut the fuck out of it. There's nothing to say about leverage. Read the guides. The exchanges have guides on how to leverage. Then you can learn from that. So I still believe we're gonna go lower. And if I switch to this chart, I think we're gonna fill this gap in. Could it go that low? Possibly. It could fill that in, but at least towards here, in my opinion, until proven otherwise. I'm gonna give my argument for that as well, and where I believe I'm wrong. So I think we're gonna come in towards here a bit lower. At least run this low one more time. So I mean, the kind of bottom. If you were to ask me what would I look for a bottom? Yes, I am misogynist. Of course I am. So what I'll be looking for, I mean, I've got a simplified chart, okay? And this is a chart we've used a lot of the times. Just recently I haven't, because we haven't needed to. It's been more short-term trading. Why? Because of the range. And then once we broke out the range trigger, there she is. Then we got a trending move, okay? So if I look at it from a SR perspective, this is a range. You can see where I drew my SR. It's pretty obvious why I've done that. Study it yourself. That's a range, and that's a range. So as long as we're outside of this range low, is there any reason to long? Okay? Trimpy's gonna come later. I'm gonna do my part first, about 30 minutes or so. Okay? And we'll share his ideas, and I'm looking forward to it because I know he's bullish. But I always look at the argument from the other side. Maybe I have missed something. And sometimes put your mic up, put your audio up if it's low. I can't do nothing about that. Or it's gonna continue. Now if I look at this chart, would you agree? Okay, we've got range low here. We consolidate here, they've sold off. This is a retest now happening, isn't it? Can you stop going on about... I'm going to listen to it now. So, I believe we're coming towards here next. Okay? And then I'm going to see what happens. Okay, put your volume up then. Put your speaker volume up. So, I don't know what's going to happen here, but for me, I'm going to be trading towards here. If it breaks below here, then towards there. So, I don't know what's going to happen. If it consolidates here and then reclaims, then I get bullish. Because then that's a deviation. Is everybody with me so far? It's important to understand this, because this is where I don't mind range trading within here, okay, and playing up there. Is that clear? Yes, I will be looking at ES, and again with ES as well. This is a chart I posted yesterday. Hang on, here. Yeah, I believe ES is gonna take out 2021 low. Now, if I'm bearish the ES, then I'm going to naturally be bearish Bitcoin still, okay? Just because Bitcoins come here, it doesn't mean it can't continue, okay? Okay, I accept. If it makes a clean reclaim above here, then we'll start looking for longs. So before I continue, is everybody with me? So my invalidation will be a clean reclaim above here. Now I'm looking for a trigger. So if also, I mean, like I said, mentioned already, look at the CME gap, there's a bit of a gap there. I mean, gap, I don't care about gaps. Sometimes gaps be left. I mean, look at these gaps. There's loads of gaps in the market that haven't been filled. I don't really pay attention, and they failed in months later on. It's just a target objective. I mean, with or without the gap, this consolidation will be objective anyway. Okay? Yeah, I don't know. It's just the mic. Okay, you just gonna have to put your volume up. I'm on a different desktop, so I'm not gonna fuck around with the setting now. Most people can hear it. That's all that matters to me. So, I'm gonna be looking at that target. That would be a target to reach for. Now, what it's also doing is, if I don't want that as a target, it's already set a range low for us, hasn't it already? The market has set a range low for us, which is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out a clean chart, and we're just going to focus on what we need, okay? I'm not going to go beyond that, just the levels we need. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out, yeah, we'll go with this level here. It doesn't really make a difference. I'm just identifying a level that's been tagged by most ones here, okay? There, it doesn't really matter, 30k, it doesn't really matter. And that's probably a better level. So why that level? When we came down here, okay? Yes, get the likes up. There's over 1,000 of you here. You can't get me at least 500 likes. Get the YouTube algos going, lads. Come on. So when we dropped from here, that was the first low here. We deviated, got back above it. Deviated again. Bottomed out. Big rally. Massive level. We can't cross. Go to the right. Same thing here. This is the level. We couldn't breach. Wick. Deviation. Boom. Go to the right again. This time round, it's not doing the wick, is it? It's holding below. What does that tell you? It's fucked until proven otherwise. Okay? I would assume this is fucked until proven otherwise. So what we'll be doing is, what's the next objective? Let's go down now to the lower time frame. And I would say, well, around this area here. So I'll mark out the top of this range. This was a previous range. I'm going to mark this out. I'm going to mark this high, has a previous range high, and then mark out the top end of it as well. Okay, so this zone here, the minimum will be 24.3 would be the target. Can everybody see why I've done that? Okay. Can you ask, let's stick to the topic. Don't be asking me stuff outside of this right now. Okay. Don't be making shit up either. Let's stick to the topic. So what we've done is we've got a range to work with now. So a couple of scenarios we're looking at. So this is what I want to see a run of. Okay, the extreme end. But if the volume is too high, put your speaker low. Simple. I know the volume thing. I don't know how to fix it right now. I'm shit with tech stuff. It is what it is. Just deal with it. Either put your volume low, whatever. Do whatever you gotta do. Okay. So scenario one. So I'll be looking at this as our range to play with. Okay. There. We've already made a lower boundary. Okay. I'm really shit with this kind of stuff. I know. There's no excuse for it. I should be better, but fuck it. It is what it is. Okay. Here. So when he bounced. So what we've done is so far what have we done? We've established that unless we reclaim above this key higher time frame level, let's give it a bit of a girth. Okay? Make it look important. Add the girth on. There we go. There. We are trading within here. Can we? Is that clear? Is that better? It doesn't really matter. You can do that as well if you want. So does that make sense? We are within this range. Yeah? Okay, so now that we've established that we are below here, that's the key higher time level. As long as we stay below here, I'll be looking for the towards this objective. Okay? So what are my trigger plans now? Now is the time for trigger. So what I tend to do is, okay, what's the range for the day? So where was the high of the day? So what range are we in? We've actually been within yesterday's range. So what we've got here, I've got to establish some sort of mid range. Now that my mid range doesn't necessarily have to be a mid range. It can be a pivot within an identified range already. So what I tend to do is I'll start off with previous day's low. Okay. Once you go above previous day's low, has it proven itself? Well, yes, it has, hasn't it? Look at this key consolidation. It doesn't quite tag it, but it tags the consolidation around that. Okay. You can see the congestion there. Once it cleared it, it pushed up. So it's let's split it up into two now. Okay. This I often use for a trend continuation. Say it doesn't push up towards the range high like I want. For a deviation play like this, to play it towards here. Then, and if they stop, then I've always got this as a backup. This is my backup play. From there towards the target 1 and then target 2. Is everybody clear? No, I'm sticking to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Don't ask me about anything else. Stick to this. When Bitcoin and Ethereum are selling off, everything's going to sell off. I get people asking, well, what do you think about this coin? Well, if I'm telling you Bitcoin's selling off, what the fuck do you think is going to happen to alts? Until I believe Bitcoin's bottomed out, everything's going to die. It's as simple as that. So we don't need to look at alts then, do we? Does that make sense? I mean, does that reasoning make sense or logic make sense? If Bitcoin's weak, what is the point of looking at anything else? Yes, shorting, that's different. But there's no point picking a clear bottom until that happens. Okay? So, now that we've identified the range, I'm going to give it a bit of a different color. Because this is what I like to do. I like to make it grey. I don't know why. I've got this OCD thing that mid-range has to be grey for me. So when you look at my charts, you see a grey level, you know what that means. So, scenario 1 is come up. We don't want to go too high above this. Okay? Deviation. Trigger. I'm in violation of clean break above. Target 1. I take some profit. If it comes into here, starts bouncing, I take some profit. You know why? Because I know how to get back in. Okay? I would anticipate we're there. I take some profit, stops at break even. Whether I close it all or not, that's up to you. And then if it continues below that, or if it drops from here straight away, yes, XO. Everybody follow XO. Secondary plan or trend continuation or compounding. Target. And I'm done. After that, fuck knows what happens. So by this point, what I'll be looking at is what the ES is doing. So before I continue, is everybody clear with my plan? And why I remain bearish until proven otherwise. And even if I am bearish, I need clear trigger plans. Okay. That's done. Now, going back to the ES again for Confluence, what I would be doing is, if Bitcoin comes towards this region, okay, then what I would be doing is, where is the ES? Because I'm going to be, I look at, it doesn't have to be, but I'm going to be looking to time the bottom of the ES. If it comes into here and ES shows some sort of bottom, I personally believe ES comes to 2021 low. NQ is already trading below last year's low. That's very, very weak. ES is SPX. Just make it easy for you, SPX. Okay? So, for Confluence purposes, so whatever Bitcoin's, if when Bitcoin approaches key support, I don't know where it's gonna go. It could go a lot lower. Okay, I'm not in the business of picking a bottom. Okay, I have targets in mind. I mean, after that target, this could be the next region. Okay, so after that, this is where I personally think it comes towards here. My gut feeling says here, because if you look at it, if this was a 5-minute chart, forget the fact it's Bitcoin. Forget it's Bitcoin. Most of you would say something like this, right? Agreed? Most of you would say, if this was a 5-minute chart and this wasn't Bitcoin, you'd be saying Bitcoin's coming towards here. Is that agreed? Does that make sense? So what I'll be looking at, I mean, it could squeeze a bit, that's fine. Okay? But, more or less, if it comes towards here, I mean, afterwards, if this gets breached, then that's going to be the target. After that, I mean, if it gets below here, then there's no reason why we can't even come towards here. But let's not deal with that yet, okay? That's going to be something like this. If it does that, then that's my short towards there. And then that better be the low. Or a wick. Because then if it gets below that, everybody here is going to get fucked. I mean, we'll be making a lot of money shorting the fuck out of it. And then, you know, accumulate the coins. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. So, long plan. Now, for around here, I don't have a long plan. Okay, all I'm going to say is I'm going to have to wait and see what happens here. Maybe this. And look for some structure like this. Okay, if it does that, that's my long towards there. And if it reclaims that, then game on. Get ready. Let's fucking take these motherfuckers out. Okay, that's the deviation done. But above here, it has to get above here for me. Okay, so I don't know if it's gonna fill the 10k. It could not. CME gaps don't want to. Okay. So, from here, if this is a bottom, I don't know. Or if it does one more low and then bottoms out. Oh, come on, you son of a bitch. So, for example, say, I mean, a bottom usually is sort of double bottomish. Whether it's a higher low like this or whether it's a lower low, it doesn't really matter. I would love, if it is going to be a bottoming area, give me some sort of consolidation. The moment reclaims, okay, game on. Fuck the bears. Full on bullish. Well, when I say full on bullish, there's boundaries as well. Okay, I mean the first objective area is going to be this low here, and I'll take it level to level around this zone. Okay, and then once that gets cleared, the more levels it's cleared, there's no reason why you probably go towards there. But that's gonna be a deviation confirmed first. Clear? Okay, that's more or less it. Bitcoin. So you know exactly what I'm looking for shorts, and you know exactly what I'm looking for longs. Is everybody crystal clear with my Bitcoin plans? There's no point going on further. Speaks like he's doing things wrong. Yeah, no, 10, 15. No, I've just got a low immune system. Okay, sick all the time. That's why it's tweeted. Look after your health. Yeah. Is everybody clear? Okay, that's done. Yeah, that's more or less it for Bitcoin. That's all I've got. There's nothing else. I'm up or down. I'm prepared. For now, I've got a bearish tone until we reclaim here. So I'm looking to sell rallies. This is where I tweeted. I'm not as aggressive anymore. I mean, you gotta understand, it's such a big drop. Why are you getting bearish here? It's waiting for the pullback now. We're below a key level. That's why I have your higher time frame key levels. So if you're gonna say to me you're a momentum trade that chases price, this is an example of it. I can understand that because we had the target area to reach for, and it's just after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 attempts. Then I accept. Okay, chase it here. That's fine. That's how I chased it, and I rolled it. I mean, it got here, and I was asleep. But what I knew is a clean reclaim above here, I'm wrong. Okay? Because it's the higher time frame level. Without this level, it's a random point. Okay? And then we got this move and we're done. Okay? Epic Pen is my drawing tool. Moving forward now, Ethereum. Let's go. Do I really sound like I'm on coke or something? Fuck it, I just get cold all the time. I mean, I'm on immunosuppressants and stuff, and they fuck up my system. So yes, I always get sick after that. So we got this here, range lows. They have not been taken yet. Okay, let's keep it simple. There's no need to overcomplicate it. Key SR level, the next key SR level. Okay, done. I've identified my range. Now I can draw out a zone if you like. I can draw a zone. It is the argument, this zone here. Okay, but what I can say is we're within here now, aren't we? Yes, if we get above here, then maybe a squeeze, probably towards here. So that becomes my range above here. For now, this is my range to work with. And until that's tagged, is there any reason for me to be leaning bullish? No. Yes, short terms, fine. But directionally, I still believe here. And then we'll see. I mean, if Ethereum does this and then gets back above, a ping pong between these two. Okay? No, it's not that. It's just a chronic condition I've got. Trust me. Now, let's go down. And lo and behold, where are the consolidations forming? Right at those high time frame levels. So what we then do is time it with Bitcoin. So what I'll do is I'll take this. Okay. And I've got my range high marked out with Bitcoin. Okay. So what you do is time it with Bitcoin. There. My range high. Let's mark out that. Let's give it the colors. Why? Because we can. And what we've got here is range lows. And lo and behold, range lows come nicely in line with there. After that, we'll see. So, let's go over and mid-range. Let's go over mid-range. I don't know, I just put TD on. Doesn't make a difference. What difference does 2D, 1D make? No difference to me. High time frame, regardless. What's our key pivot here? And I would argue, okay, we're looking for a key pivot. Yes. Mark our zone in this instance. I'll make argue the case like this. Why that? Resistance. See the consolidation there? Deviation, support. There. So scenario 1. Time it with Bitcoin. We'll get a rally up. Doesn't matter how high. And then deviation. Once it deviates, short, invalidation, a clean break above, target, manhandled, done. And then target 2, and then if you get the big squeeze there. Okay? Now, if I do not get the setup I want, okay, then I'm going to try the continuation if it doesn't pull back. Well, this time hold below, and that's my short, target 1, target 2. And after that, 0. Is everybody clear with that? Does that make sense? Get a like. So let's get to 500 likes. There's 1,200 of you here. Come the fuck on. Yeah, they'll be taking an FTX, but most of the people on the other exchanges are still safe. So we're gonna wipe out everybody. A proper capitulation is a proper capitulation on everything. If one exchange does it, the other exchange does it. Let's be honest. Is that a real drop? I think not. But I'm proven to be wrong. Where am I wrong? I'll start looking for, I mean, really and truly, I wanted to get back above here, really. So I would be okay with the deviation here and then drop. That would be fine as well. But above here is where I'd say, okay. And then look at Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin going back above as well? Then the bottom. I don't like saying bottom. I like saying, okay, I look for longs. I'll mark out my range and I'll look at from there towards there. Now, just like Bitcoin, do we have a further downside objective for the capitulation one? Yes, we do. Similar to this. So similar to Bitcoin, I'd say this region here. And then we'll see, because if it goes below this region here, we are fucked. So I wouldn't mind something like into there. So, you know, another setup would be if it breaks that and then reclaims and then like that. That's a separate setup there. Invalidation there. Now, if it gets below here, we are fucked towards here. So what ideally what we want to see is something like this. And then reclaim level to level. That's the range. And then clean break above here. Let's fucking go towards here. And then we'll see what happens after that. I don't know. I'm not going to make shit up. But what I do know is as long as it's above here, buy the dips. Or play the range when it forms. Okay. That's done. Everybody clear with the plan? So, like I said, I'm still bearish ES. I believe the next target's here. As long as we can stay below here, that's my range. And then if that gets smashed here, 2021 low is where I'll really start getting worried. Now, say, for example's sake, ES reclaims back above here, so that's a key level. Clean reclaim and hold above, then probably squeeze. There's a gap around here, probably squeeze towards here. And Bitcoin does the same thing. Then I'll start looking for the short-term plays I marked out with Bitcoin. Okay, so just time it together. So if this reclaims or Bitcoin reclaims, that's long. But if this is still looking weak, what's the point of looking for longs? Okay, yeah, until market tells me the bottom is in, then I'll go. Other than that, I play what market tells me. I react to the market, and that's all I do. I play by the momentum with the market. And hence why you see the squiggly lines. That's a representation of around the key levels, exact plans. And that is more or less it. Okay, I'm going to bring on Chimp. I've got nothing more to say. Right, let's get Brother Chimp on. Everybody clear? I don't know. I mean, listen, I don't know about... You're asking me about these coins, right? Listen, all I know is when Bitcoin bottoms out, then I'll start looking for alts. Till then, I don't know. They could do. I mean, I like PYR. PYR is probably... I still hold. I still believe in that. But at the same time, I'm also accepting that if the whole fucking all alts go to zero, then that's... I've accepted that as well. At the same time, I'm shorting the fuck out of this as well. So... I mean, if you're going to go hold into something of hope here, man, you got no fucking clue and put your life saving, then that's on you. I'm not doing that. I never put. I only put a certain allocation in crypto. If I lose it all, I've accepted that. I use a few exchanges. Prime XBT. Since they're sponsoring this, Prime XBT. Everybody sign up to Prime XBT. They make this happen. I don't know what's happening. I don't look at Bitfinex long, short long. I don't look at that. They ever see me look at that? I mark up my plans as I do, and then they go that way, don't they? Right, let's get Brother Chimp on. I'm gonna make him presenter. Brother, can you hear me?
Yep, can you hear me, brother?
Excellent. So I'm just gonna get an audio check from these guys because I'm on a new computer. Can you guys hear Brother Chimp? I apologize about the audio, guys. It's just bear with it, okay? Did you guys hear him? Can everybody just confirm if you can hear Chimp? Chimp, they can hear you. So I've given you the screen if you want to share before I put you onto the main screen in case something comes up you don't want to see, like nudes or something. And okay, now we got the legend on. I have a lot of respect for Brother Chimp. We joke about, we banter around, but we keep it respectable. And it's one guy I look at if I'm wrong. I always compare myself to people that are opposite with me. Why? Because that's when I learn. That's when I know, okay, if I'm wrong, what is their reasoning behind it? Because I could be wrong. And this has been certain times I have where Chimp was going short or long, and then I flipped my bias because I got stopped out, and that's okay. And his analysis did help me. So, Brother Chimp, the show is yours.
Awesome, thank you, brother. And yeah, first thing I want to say is, it's all good to have differing opinions in this space, and as long as everyone keeps it respectful, that's what matters, right? At the end of the day, that's how you grow, and that's how you make better trades, and that's how you succeed in this space. So I made some notes. I was watching along, and I made some notes. And overall, I actually agree with a lot of your takes. And I'll say this much: I think your approach in terms of, you need evidence from the market that this thing has bottomed. And I think from data, aside from the price action, you're starting to see that. But I do agree with your take, and I like your approach that, look, if it has bottomed and the market proves that to you, you're going to start looking for longs. The thing that I've noticed that a lot of traders are sticking towards are narratives. And I'm seeing a lot of, the Fed is doing this, or inflation, and the narrative is just, if it goes up, we're going to short. If it goes to 35, we're going to short. If it goes to 38, we're going to short. And I think that would be a mistake, because if the market proves to you that it's bottomed and the price starts to move up, I think it's going to be dangerous to try firing shorts every time Bitcoin starts making a new local high.
Agreed.
And so from that perspective, I think that the approach of, okay, if the market proves me wrong and the market's not going to go down anymore, then that's fine. And from that perspective, you're going to minimize your risk. You ride the short the most of the way down, and then wherever you re-enter and get stopped out, that's that. You lose a little bit of your profits, but net, you come out on top. And so I totally agree with that. And I also agree with your fact. Someone was asking like, "Oh, should I start bidding these alts?" I agree with you totally. Like, it's the Bitcoin show here, and if Bitcoin is not done going down, it doesn't matter if like the big asset that people should be watching is Bitcoin and maybe Ethereum, and that's it. If people like, as long as Bitcoin's going down, there's not going to be anyone who's going to be bidding Solana or any of these other big coins. And if you think about it fundamentally, if you're a big player and you're going to deploy a lot of capital and try to put in a bottom, you're not going to try and put in a bottom on Solana or, you know, a bunch of these like DeFi altcoins here and so forth. You're going to try and put in a bottom on Bitcoin. You're going to, if you're coming in with $100 million in cash, you're coming in to bid on Bitcoin, not on any of these other coins. And so until that bottom is in on Bitcoin, I think it doesn't matter with these altcoins. And as people have seen, these altcoins are getting smashed compared to Bitcoin. Like Solana is down 12% since yesterday's daily open, and Bitcoin's only down 2%. And so if Bitcoin's bottom is not in, your risk on, I'm not even sure how you would fully define your risk on these things, because these things can trapdoor down. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how we got here, because I think it's important to consider in terms of how we get out of here. And the way we got here is interesting, right? We basically had the NASDAQ go into a free fall mode for the last 1 month. We had this, let's see if I can, I'm not the best trading view expert here, but we basically had, oops, let me just do the price range thing. In a bit over a month, we had an almost 23% correction. And so you had this very perfect storm where every risk asset's basically going straight down. And in fact, it's still going down. The NASDAQ's open and it's down another 2%. And so you have this going on. You also had basically one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in this space finally implode. And I think that if Luna imploded on its own, right, and I actually deleted it off my chart because it's just like so ridiculous. But
it's unbelievable that shocked me, that did.
I feel bad because to me this is like this was such a scam in the sense that they should have just shut down trading on this, and instead they left it open.
I feel bad, but at the same time, right, nobody's complaining when he's making the 100x's, right? But at the same time, for something to make 100x, that can easily and more violently drop as well. But nobody wants to hear that. They bury their head in the sand. So you got to take full responsibility. So that's why, at the same time, I have no sympathy either.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, because everyone's saying, oh, Do Kwon's to blame, others to blame. I tell them, like, it's your portfolio, it's your money. Like, you should be responsible for your decisions that you make. And does Do Kwon have some responsibility here? Probably, but it's your portfolio. So at the end of the day, the only person who's gonna be as responsible about it as you.
Yeah.
So you had this perfect storm. This thing implodes. And I think if this imploded on its own and they just ran away with their Bitcoin reserves, we wouldn't be talking about Bitcoin going down to 26K like it did yesterday or about 12 hours ago. I think that basically this was a perfect storm where Luna, like, stocks are already going down, so it's not looking good. Then Luna comes in and, like, right around here, and then decides that they need to get rid of all their Bitcoin reserves. And I think that that's what you saw here. So prices went down. They probably offloaded all their BTC by that point, and then prices began to sit here for a while. And then I think that's when people realized that there might be insolvencies, there might be contagion, there might be other stuff. And then that's when we went down for a second leg. And I think that this was just a leg driven on panic. And I guess I'll speak about some signs which I think are signals that we could be getting here, if we didn't already bottom, that we are getting very close to a bottom. First, I'll start by just looking at some basic stuff, right? You look at funding rates. Typically, you want to see these things negative, and if they're not negative, that's a sign that there's probably there's more room to go down. These things were not negative until basically the last 16 hours. So these things are now negative. So in terms of perpetuals or spots, if spot is selling, these are going to be positive. And so it seems like spot has decreased the net pressures that they're putting on the market. You also look at other factors. So you look at how much or to what degree, and this is just like a heat map of orders on Coinbase, for example. There's been a lot of patient people waiting to buy these levels for a very long time, and they were very patient, sub 35, and they've just been absorbing, and they're they're continuing to be prepared to absorb, like all the way down to 20. So if prices continue to go down, you have patient people who aren't in a rush and they're looking to absorb all the way down to 20. And so, and if you look at Coinbase, even all the way down to 15K. And so from that perspective, you've had a lot of absorption of this selling and a lot of these coins switching hands. You look at some other factors too, which are like, capitulation signals. You have USDT, which unpegged, right? Like to me, this is like,
I want to ask you something on this, bro. I don't know. Someone was saying, I don't, as long as we trade, I don't know a lot of this shit. Someone was saying USDT. It's probably similar things gonna happen with USDT that had to happen with USD. Do you have any takes on that? I mean, I was told USDC safer and BUSD, and that got me out of USDT completely, other than leaving whatever I need for trading. Do you have any long-term thoughts on that? He's a scam or something.
So I think USDC is probably the safest, but I think the mistake people are making is they think that UST was a stable coin. Like UST was never actually a stable coin. It was just a Ponzi scheme. And it was a Ponzi scheme that was masquerading as a stable coin. So they claimed it was worth $1. If you think about it, they just arbitrarily picked the random number to peg it to, and $1 is just a nice round number. But if you actually think about it, there wasn't actually $1 worth of value there. It was literally just a Ponzi scheme masquerading as a stable coin. Whereas USDT, this thing's been around for a very long time. And if it's not backed, it's still yet to be shown that it's not backed. And my friend and I were talking about this, and it's a little bit counterintuitive, but with UST, ultimately, because it was like an open ledger thing with Luna and everything, once everyone realized it's a Ponzi scheme, there was a run for the banks. With USDT, as counterintuitive as it is, because their books are closed for the most part, like there is no public ledger that proves it's a scam. And so I think personally it's fine.
The same, but then it comes down to, okay, you want to take that risk of in case it isn't. Me personally, I've got most in USDC, and I keep whatever USDT I need for trading. That's all. I think that would be a safer approach.
Exactly. Like if you're just going to be trading, like you may as well just hold USDC or like the safest stable coin. There's no reason. I mean, these things these things are worth $1 at most. So if you may as well just hold the one that's going to retain, that has the most likelihood to retain that $1. And there is some risk here. I think this move here specifically was just panic. I don't think like there's any risk of insolvency like tomorrow or whatever with USDT, but 2 years or 4 years from now, there's a possibility that it gets insolvent. But to me, this is one of those situations where I think that from a market psychology standpoint, and if you look where this happened, this was right near the low. I think from a market psychology standpoint, this was basically people saying, this was peak like capitulation where everyone said, I'm going to sell every asset that I have for cash. And that includes even my stable coins, which is kind of crazy. Anecdotally, also, I'll just say this, I had some people message me yesterday on Facebook who I never have spoken to about trading. Yesterday messaged me at 26, 27K asking me how to short Bitcoin. So from that perspective, I think the sentiment is getting in the gutters. Now, from a market microstructure standpoint, like, can we go down and wick down again? And, let me just clear everything here. And can we go, like, at this point, if you look at this chart from a daily standpoint, you mentioned that, look, we ran these levels. This is fucked, right? So at this point, is there anything stopping us from bouncing here and then taking another leg down? Probably not. But I would just say that the lower we go, the worse the risk reward starts to get in terms of holding shorts. And
Agreed.
And at the end of the day, the biggest retail mistake I see made is once this eventually V bottoms, and it's going to bottom at some point. I don't know where it's going to be. It's going to bottom at some point. People will make the mistake of trying to short the first people will make the mistake of trying to short the first bounce, getting stopped, and just continuing trying to short all the way up. If you think the momentum is down, that's great. Don't short once and then keep shorting as if it starts to keep going up, right? Like
I think the important part in this is okay, even if you are going to short, where are you wrong? So once that's established and you have a good target, as long as you've got the invalidation and target, for me personally, I'm happy to. Right now, I'm short term. I think the majority of the leg is done. Whether it goes further or not, I don't care. But what I do have now is where I'm wrong on my shorts, and if it's below a certain level, then I'm leaning lower. and have a target in mind. Other than that, I don't play outside of that.
Exactly. And it seems to me like you have a target in mind, you take profit, and then you wait to get back in. Like
Yeah.
you're not sitting here like adding to shorts as prices are going down. That's one big mistake.
Point, it's too late for that now. You missed that.
Yeah, and I would say in terms of like it with this market, sometimes experience plays a big role. And I remember back in like February of 2018 when we had this huge sell-off down to $6,000, and we might still be in the midst of this sell-off on Bitcoin, and maybe Bitcoin's going to keep going down. But when this thing reversed, it reversed pretty hard. And so that's why I tell people, like, if you get invalidated, just chill. This might take 2 weeks, 3 weeks to go up. And people like who are calling for long-term targets of 16K or whatever, I'm not saying it's impossible, but you can have a situation where market chills and doesn't go down to those levels. Like if the market ends up bottoming here, it might still go to 16K at some point. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that it might take months. And so
also to keep in mind is those calling for 16K, well, there's going to be levels before that they're going to take profit anyway. So whether it gets there or not, they're in a position where they've made some money. They're probably risk-free by then. And whether it gets there or not, it doesn't really matter at this point because they've caught the lion's share already.
Exactly. The other thing I've noticed is like I talk to people who have targets in mind, and then they always keep moving the targets down. So like they'll say, oh, I'm going to be a buyer if we get to this level. And then it gets to that level, and then they move the target down another 20%. And then they keep moving the target down. And so just make sure, I guess, in terms of it's best to come up with a plan and these targets before the price makes the move so that you can execute on it when it gets there. Because a lot of times people get emotional as prices get to those levels. And then they make a mistake or something happens, and then they fumble, and then prices go back up, and they're not sure what to do. So, so from those perspectives, I mean, I'll say this much also, just not from a price action perspective, but from an unrelated perspective, and that's from the perspective of I know a lot of people probably got super wrecked the last few weeks, right? Especially like the last 1 week, Bitcoin went from 40K to 28K or sorry, 26K. Like that's a 33% correction. And so I would say this, that if you have a strong mentality in this market, like first, no one should do anything rash. No one should do anything stupid. The first step is just you have to take responsibility for if you made a mistake and if you lost money, just you have to step back, take responsibility, and look to learn from it. And in my opinion, like again, I don't want to preach anything or tell anyone anything like specific or preach any religion or anything here, but it's like if your focus is on the money and you're sitting here always stressed about the money, you're going to make a lot more mistakes, right? If
100%.
If your focus is more so like, let me have a core let me have a core belief in, or not a belief, but I'm trying to look for the right word here, but let me have a core set of principles and things that I believe in my life that I'm going to follow, and make the money number 3 or number 4 or number 5, right? For example, your spirituality, whatever you believe in, or your family or your health, right?
See,
like
I want to add to that. See, with trading, right, the core thing is to make good decisions in every aspect of life, especially trading, because trading requires quicker thinking, is to have a clear mind. Now, what helps with a clear mind? Spiritualness. Whether you're religious or not, have some sort of whether meditation or prayer, it helps clear your mind. It calms you down. So when you're calmer, you're more likely to make logical, rash decisions. Something unrelated you think, it actually will affect your trading. So if you're not sorted outside of trading aspect, outside the market, your mental, your health, then you're less likely to make good decisions, aren't you? I feel like when I don't sleep, I make stupid decisions. But when I go to the gym, or when I'm praying or whatever, when you're in a good mood, then you think clearly. But yeah, continue. Just wanted to add that.
No, 100%. And these things directly have an impact. And so if your focus is, I'm going to neglect everything, just going to sit here, watch the charts all day, trying to make money, it's actually counterintuitive, because if you're putting all your time into this, then you're neglecting other parts of your life and other aspects that are actually having a direct impact on your trading. And so from that perspective, I would tell people, learn from this experience in terms of responsibility. Take responsibility if you lost money. At the end of the day, the person who cares the most about your portfolio is yourself, and your trading decisions is yourself. And if you find that other parts of your life are underweighted or you're putting less emphasis in them, consider rebalancing that, right? This market's always going to be here. I see people panicking or whatever. I've been in this market for years. Every day I wake up, it's still trading. You know, it hasn't gone anywhere, right? The ES has been trading for 100 years, right? That market hasn't gone anywhere. So these markets are always going to be here, right? You have to make sure that you can actually be there with your capital and have the ability to trade, and the market will be there regardless, but whether even if you take some time off or not. So from that perspective, like in terms of going back to the price action, at some point I figure this thing's going to V bottom, and whenever that happens, my strategy isn't even as much as let's try to knife catch the Pico bottom and then close it or whatever. My strategy is more so that once this thing bottoms, I don't want to be shorting for a while. In fact, all I want to be looking for is longs for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then reevaluate, get a significant bounce. Let sentiment shift a little bit. Let a lot of these factors that I look at reset, and then go from there. So. Absolutely. But happy to take questions also from chat, or if anyone has questions as well. So
if anybody's got questions, fire them away. I mean, I love listening to you. Great advice, and you know, one of my advices I always give out is always look at the other perspective. You know, what's the point of insulting each other? So what if I'm not 100% guaranteed know that if I'm going to be right and you don't know 100%? It's all a game of probabilities and risk. You just follow your plan. The rest is up to the market. So I always like to look at the other perspective. That's why I got Chimp on this time around. I think he was probably more important guest than most, because it's now I'm going to question if my decisions are right or have I missed something. I think someone like you would be great. So always keep that in mind. The other guys, why are they bearish if you're bullish, or you know, especially time like this. But if you got any questions, fire them away. Can you see the chat thing, Chimp, in the YouTube?
Let me see. Let me pull it up on my phone. Actually,
one question was, at what point would you turn bearish? I know it's a bit late right now, but if there was, what would make you bearish now?
At this point, honestly, I would have to see some sort of big bounce, and that bounce starting to lose momentum or volume starting to significantly die out for me to lose momentum, for me to get bearish. Like, let me show you guys a very specific example of something. And this is maybe this is like an example. This is looking back in time, right? But it's like, let me actually go back to when Quan was buying. And one of the things that made me very bearish is I noticed that as we kept pumping, like anytime prices would get to range highs, like volumes just started to really die out, like comparatively to when it was selling off. And so there was really no demand at these levels. And from that perspective, I was like, okay, well, there's no demand. No one's really trading here. This is bearish. For me at this point, like given the levels that we're at, I'm not really going to be looking for shorts. I would need to see some sort of big bounce, and then that bounce losing momentum or losing volume, and then going from there in terms of looking to get bearish in the market. So
excellent.
I'm gonna pull this up on my phone. I'm just making sure my phone's muted. Yeah, if anyone has questions, please feel free to go for it.
One question was, how long do you spend on the charts a day? Are you all day at the charts, or are there specific timings? And by journal, do you journal?
Yeah, so I don't do any journaling. In terms of sitting there and looking at the charts, I mean, the thing is, I don't, for the most part, if I have things that I'm going to do throughout the day, right, I'm going to do them regardless. Like, for example, if I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go to the gym. You know, I can bring my phone or whatever. But if I'm on the computer, I have two monitors. Usually if I'm doing something else on one monitor, that's fine. And but I'll have the chart sort of on the side on the other monitor, just keeping an eye on it in case something's going on. And so from that perspective, if I'm on my PC, I'm always keeping an eye on what's going on. But I don't neglect other parts of my life because of what's going on in the Bitcoin markets, at least not for an extended period of time. Maybe for a singular day, I'll take a break from like going to the gym or something. But for the most part, what I do in my life, aside from trading, I keep doing regardless of what's going on in the Bitcoin markets.
Excellent.
Someone said, if Chimp, in the past you've talked about passive investors such as retail who invest on a monthly basis. If we are entering into a recession and they cut back on that volume, is going to dry up? Thoughts? Yeah, so that goes back to the Mike Green thesis of over time, people are just putting money into these markets through passive investing. And I think that as long as people have their jobs and keep putting money into retirement plans, then that's going to keep going on. If people start to lose their jobs, then that could slow down. But the key there is that people need to lose their jobs first, which obviously isn't ideal in terms of like a human standpoint for those flows to slow down. But aside from that, you also had the Fed who was pushing in a lot of capital, and the Fed that capital coming in from the Fed has now stopped, right? And so one aspect of the inflow equation, which is the Fed, has stopped, and in fact that's going to flip, and so that's a consideration to have here. One thing I wanted to say too is I don't know when equities bottom, but this is just something interesting to note, which is if you look at when equities bottomed, Bitcoin actually bottomed before equities during the COVID crash. So equities bottomed on March 23rd. If you go look at Bitcoin on the daily chart, Bitcoin, I think, bottomed on March 12th with that big liquidation cascade, or March 13th, sorry. And then actually by the time we even got to March 23rd, Bitcoin had already had a big reversal to the upside and was just coming back down for a retest at that point. And so the one thing I would say in terms of watching ES or watching equities when trying to trade Bitcoin is note that Bitcoin might just be a faster acting market in some of these things. And so just because the ES hasn't bottomed, if it's within the vicinity of a low, Bitcoin might already be putting in a bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to the extreme end scenarios, when it's the top or bottom, like, I mean, one can bottom, but then consolidate out, take a while, and the other does. But I think once the bottom is in, like, when I said to you, once the deviation is done and it shows me a bottom, they both often show it at the same time. The exact bottom, It varies. That's what I look for. I go for the safer play, not the extreme end. I like to play the middle of a move. That's where my niche is. People say, "Oh, you caught them. You missed the bottom and top." That's not my niche. I accept that. Once it's turned, then I step in. I don't bother catching tops or bottoms. That's not my style. It's about making money, isn't it? It's not about looking good. It's about, okay, what is your strength? You may have a strength of catching tops or bottoms. I don't. I get lucky, but I don't. But once I know, then I've got a range to work with, and I just play my range, and that's my that's what I'm good at, and that's what I stick to.
Yeah, and you make a really good point too, which is like sticking to your strengths. And a lot of people try to just like blindly copy one person, or they try to or another example is sometimes I see people trading like 100 assets, and I tell people like find a core group of assets that you're good at trading. For me, I just trade Bitcoin, for example, and find what you're good at specifically in that asset, or like what makes you better than other market participants, and stick to that, right? Because it's better to be a master of a few things than just be mediocre at everything else, at many things. And so I think it's like when you have to know your own strengths and weaknesses as a trader, and I think that's very important.
See, I'm gonna add on to that. See, this move, 99% of my trading has just been Bitcoin, Ethereum. So and then people say, well, alts gave you 89%. Okay, that's fine. I'm comfortable with that because I understand the price action and I find it safer to trade Bitcoin, Ethereum. But what I do is I compound hard. So my money management for that is, if I've got conviction like this, instead of one position, this whole leg down, that's probably like half my year done. But but that's my niche. And when you got your niche and when everything's your market, then it comes to money management. That's what really makes you the money. And I've compounded hard on this instead of like looking for that did a Luna type of job. Okay, you can get lucky, but if you're able to maximize by knowing how to compound properly, then you can make up for that. So I just wanted to add that point.
Yeah, I've noticed one thing too in this space, which is especially over the last year and maybe not the last few months. Maybe this is just my perception. I feel like people have gotten a lot more greedy in the sense of like they're just looking for one big 100x or whatever. Instead, I think if you just try to stick to your process and just think about it as, okay, I want to try to make money in these markets over a few years or even over one full year. Give yourself plenty of time, because like I said, nothing's going anywhere. Your odds of being successful are much higher than if you just go for a big 100x or whatever. Like Luna's a good example of that. You try to go for the 100x, but then you actually just get rug pulled and just get sent straight to zero. The other thing I would say is like if someone takes a big loss, a lot of times the best thing that they can do is just step away and get a good night's sleep, or just step away for a few days. And that's usually much better than just trying to revenge trade or trying to get back in and trying to do a bunch of things, generally speaking, for most people. So
that's what I always realize, and this is something I used to do. I think you have to go through it to really understand it. I mean, no matter how much you tell people don't do this, they're still gonna do it. The only real lesson that you learn and then listen to is when you experience it yourself. I used to have such good days like this.
before I used to give it back, and then
Yeah.
revenge trade. One small mistake, it puts you. That's where the mental game is strong. Where if you're mentally strong, you'll stop. But if you're weak, all it takes a moment window of irrationality, blow the whole thing. With Bitcoin, especially crypto, especially so volatile. Whereas you say, okay, what's the point? Is market going anywhere? No. And if you question yourself, what are you really doing? If you stop now, you stop the bleeding. Come back when you're feeling better. Come tomorrow. The market. This is not your last day to trade. This will be next. And once you've done that, then you realize, yeah, that's what I had to do. That's it. But all it takes is one stupid mistake. And people keep saying, "Oh, if I had done this," no, you just haven't trained yourself. You can't go step. It's something simple. If you don't have the discipline to just step the fuck back, you can't. You're not gonna have a career in this unless you start really learning about it.
Yeah, and this whole notion of like, oh, if I only had done this, to me, that's like comes from a perspective of people being greedy or people being short-sighted, right? Because if your time horizon is 1 year, if you missed one decision, it's not going to make an overall huge impact on your returns or losses. But if your view is I need to make 3 trades and become rich off 3 trades, then yeah, you're going to have much more regret. And so that's why I think when people say, oh, if I only did this, it comes from a place of greed or trying to make quick profits in this market, which usually punishes you.
100%. So we're gonna take one last question before we log off. Got a few things to do, so let's take it. Let's. Do we see a solid question? If you see anything, you can answer it. That you believe will give value.
Yes. So this is a really good question. Actually, I see this a lot. If you're trading with small capital, thoughts on trading with small capital? You can't really make much with Bitcoin and ETH are alts to play. See, I think this is a big misconception that people had. And I kept hearing it. Like people would say, why are you trading Bitcoin? You can just trade altcoins. The returns are better. Well, look at what's happening today, right? Or look at what's happening in the last few days. Altcoins are totally imploding. It doesn't matter how much capital you're trading with to begin with. If you have the right process, then over time, that capital is going to grow. So I think that for me, I think I have the best edge in trading Bitcoin specifically. So I stick to Bitcoin. And I'm not here. And in terms of if you have a small account, that's probably easier for you, right? You can get in and out of positions better. You have less slippage. And over time, if your process is right, that capital is going to grow and grow and grow. And you should be focused on that process rather than, oh, I have a small amount of capital. Let me gamble to make money. And I tell people a lot of the times, like when you're playing when you're just blindly playing some of these altcoins and you don't know what you're doing, you're basically just playing the lottery, like just going and playing like the state lottery, right? Like, yes, you can get lucky and make 1 million times whatever you put in, but the odds are against you, and that just because you could make 1 million times doesn't mean you should be playing. And it's the same thing with a lot of these altcoins. So,
100%. So, brother, I'm gonna ask you any closing advice, thoughts you want to share before we end the stream.
No, well, first of all, I just want to appreciate you inviting me on. I think for anyone in this space, a lot of times people have differing opinions. Those opinions, people different opinions all the time, and then sometimes they agree as well. And so as long as you keep it respectful in this space and keep it, even if I poke fun at SZ or he pokes fun at me, it's all playful, right? Like I don't have anything against him. I really don't have anything against anyone in this space. If I ever get into an argument or confrontation with someone, I'm more than happy to settle it and make peace with them. And I think that's the way that people should approach it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And look, if people took a big loss or something happened, it happens, right? That's life. When it comes to trading, this isn't like a job. When you work at a job, you go work your 2 weeks and then you get your paycheck. That's it. This is the rewards are far greater here, but there's also risks associated with it. And so you have to be accepting of that. You have to be responsible of your own decisions. And if you made a mistake, it happens, right? It's not the end of the world. Take responsibility, learn from it, and move forward. That's all you can do. So
also one last thing, brother, if they want to learn your style, because I know you do mentoring, do you want to share that? It's up to you. People want to reach out, learn some stuff. This is the time.
Sure. So, so people can find me on Twitter, Thinking BitMEX. If you want to be part of a free community, there's Zoo Capital. I run spaces. There's Zoo Capital, which is free. So all of that is free. I try to provide a lot of free content. If people want more one-on-one or personalized mentorship and basically to join, it's in some sense it's sort of like a private group. of traders somewhere in, trading in the size of 6 to 8 figures. I do run a private mentorship program. It's not cheap. It's meant for people with larger portfolios, like I would say, a few $100,000 at least. And people can find more information about that mentorship program in Zoo Capital. The price point is 0.6 BTC. So I get a lot of flack for it, but I charge what I believe my time is worth.
At the end of the day, right, nobody's forcing them to pay or join. So this is what I don't get. If you don't like it, don't. You know what I mean? If you find value, then you find value. So I don't get why people have such an issue. Nobody's throwing it down your throat. But you value time, you can charge whatever the fuck you want. That's my opinion. And if you wanna, then sign up. If you don't, then fuck off. Right.
Exactly.
So,
and
yes, carry on. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, I tell people, like, if you don't want, you can still hop in my spaces. You can still hop on Discord. You can still hop on. There's plenty of free material out there, right? Like your streams. So just take advantage of those. If something you don't want to pay, that's fine. I don't need your money, right? So, but there's plenty of free stuff out there as well.
Excellent, brother. Thank you for coming on again. I'm definitely want to bring you on again in the near future. Enjoy your evening. Bye bye.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
So everybody, give a follow to Chimp if you find value in his stuff. Okay, nobody's forced you to sign up or anything. He does free spaces. And I think, I listen to everybody, whether I agree with their view on the market or not. It makes no difference. And like the video, share it, and use the link PrimeXBT. If you find you gain value from these streams, PrimeXBT are the ones that sponsor it. So for them to continue sponsoring it, use the link in the description. And I'll catch you guys next week. Bye bye.